And to this day, we still focus on negatives and problems all the time. We're programmed to. It's how our species has survived for so long. We've survived on being ruthlessly good at seeking out negatives, and that's how we've become the apex predator. You don't have to wait until you reach financial independence to start enjoying your life. You can do that much earlier and start living a life that you love and that's true to you. Welcome to Freedom Before FIRE. Using FIRE and life design techniques, we help you create freedom on your way to FIRE instead of waiting until you're retired to do the things that light you up. I'm your host Greg, a FIRE movement and life design enthusiast. If you're itching to get freedom now, then let's do this. Hello and welcome back to the show. Now I was having a look at when I first uploaded my first episode and it was actually a year ago to this day. Yep, it was mid-April 2024 last year and I can't believe it's already been 1 year. Time really flies when you're having fun. Anyway, if there are any topics you'd like me to cover on the show, feel free to just drop me an email and I'll pop the address in the show notes. Okay, on with the show. So back in recent episode 57, I talked about the small but powerful mindset shift to have a successful life. And that was the be, do, have mindset. Essentially, it was establishing what is your future aspiration for yourself, then asking yourself, who do I need to be to do and achieve the things I want in life? So that episode mainly focused on achieving your life goals. And it reminded me of one of my favourite books on happiness called The Happiness Equation by Neil Pasricha, released back in 2016. And I think I've referenced it a few times already on this podcast. So if you haven't read it yet, the essence of the book is very similar to the be, do, have principle. But his focus was centered around happiness and our internal satisfaction with life. And I wanted to share it with you. Alright, so let's get into it. Okay, so here's the premise of the book. In the same ways as I mentioned in episode 57, the model that's been drilled into our heads about happiness is this. If we work hard, we'll achieve success, then we'll be happy. Like if we study hard, get straight A's, then you'll be happy. Or if I work loads of hours, I get promoted, then you'll be happy. But story after story, it's revealed to us that that is not always the case. Once we achieve something, we then go after the next goal, then the next goal, and so on. Happiness just keeps getting pushed further away from us. There's a term in psychology called hedonic adaptation, or sometimes known as the hedonic treadmill. Basically, it means that after achieving a major milestone or an achievement, your enjoyment of it diminishes. You get used to it. It just becomes the norm. So then we go after the next thing. So to counter that, the author suggested a slight tweak to that original model, whereby he moved the be happy part that was at the end of the formula and moved it to the front of the formula. So it looks something like this. Be happy first, then do great work, and that will lead us to big success. The author argues that if we start with being happy, we would feel great about ourselves, we would feel energized, and that would translate into us doing great work. And then the success will just follow as a byproduct. He referenced the Harvard Business Review report stating that happy people are 31% more productive and are 3 times more creative than their counterparts. When we're happy, our learning centers open up and our brains light up. We get new ideas, we see different angles to problems. Okay, so the obvious question here is, how can we be more happy? Now, of course, this is a massive question and probably not something that can be answered on one quick podcast episode, but here are some clues. Sean Achor, the author of The Happiness Advantage, says, it's not necessarily the reality that shapes us, but the lens through which your brain views the world that shapes your reality. William Shakespeare also said, for there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So generally speaking, it's our outlook on life, our daily attitudes. It's how we perceive things that influences how happy we are. Now, I know from experience that that's not always easy. And there's a reason for this, and Neil covers this in the book. He reminds us that as human beings, we've been trained since the caveman days to scan for negatives and problems around us, like bad weather, a predator trying to eat us, falling off a cliff, diseases, snatchers taking our food. And to this day, we still focus on negatives and problems all the time. We're programmed to. It's how our species has survived for so long. We've survived on being ruthlessly good at seeking out negatives, and that's how we've become the apex predator. That's why sometimes it can be hard for us to see the bright side, but it's definitely possible and it just needs a bit of working on. The key takeaway about happiness to remember is that we can control it. It's down to us. A professor at the University of California published a piece of research titled The How of Happiness. Interestingly, it was found that only 10% of our happiness is based on our circumstances, i.e. our external surroundings, where we live, our family, our friends, our income, our jobs, and so on. And that 90% of our happiness is down to how we see our life, how we perceive the world, and our attitude to life. Now, one way that's helped me in my journey is I always try to reframe situations and look through a lens of gratitude whenever I'm in a bad spot. And I think that's always a great place to start. Thank you for spending your time with us today. If you need more help, you can check out our free guides and services on our website, freedombeforephi.com. If you have a burning question or just want to chat, don't hesitate to drop me an email at greg@freedombeforephi.com. If you found the show useful and want to be notified of future episodes, you can click follow on Spotify, Apple, or the app you're currently using right now. If you think the episode will help a friend or a colleague, feel free to share it with them. And lastly, if you learned just one good thing that will help you in your journey and you want to help us out, please do leave a 5-star rating on your podcast player app. That would help us out loads. Anyway, that was one general key principle I wanted to share with you today. Have a great week, and as always, practice gratitude, live life by your design, and do things that make you smile. You got this.